Sorry, guys. I have an audiobook going on, and
Researchers
apparently
concluded.
I need to shut this down. Told you I'm always listening to stuff. Let's go. Okay. All right. Hopefully we got myself canceled. Hopefully I got myself straightened out now. All right. All right. All right. So it's Thursday, almost through the week, you guys. It's been a beautiful week up here. Um, and it's been beautiful because I've spent most of my time with you guys. But I really do want to dive in today and address some things that may be affecting you. So, insulin resistance, if we look at what's happening with us all today, there are so many things, and I forget pieces of my story, and I have to remember them because then I want to make sure that I'm addressing what other people may be going through. That's more important than anything to do with me, really. Um, so when I think back at my story and all the things that I suffered with, it's kind of crazy. This week I am talking a lot about fasting and the gut, right? But as I look back and realize everything that happened in my life and how early it started, and for me it probably started um prepubescent, and that was because we had a family that was following the old food pyramid of lots of grains and fruits for meals and not hey Melba. Okay, I'll have to catch that on Messenger. So when we're eating the way that I was taught to eat when we're young, we start building insulin resistance, and it's crazy what's happened to us. And it's when I look at the data of how quickly we're becoming insulin resistant as a society, it's pretty actually terrifying to me. Well, I mean, now that I know, I can't, it's like once you see, you can't unsee. So a few years ago, when I knew nothing really about insulin resistance, because none of the doctors that I worked with talked about it, nobody was really dealing with it. You just didn't know. So you go on about your day and you're trying to figure out why all these random things are happening to you, why you have joint pain. I had joints deteriorating in my 40s. My first joint replacement was in my mid 40s, and the doctor was like, "You're one of the youngest people that I've had to do the surgery on." And nobody was catching the fact that insulin resistance played a big part of this. So, part of the reason I'm here is to help you guys understand when you're having all of these random things go on that your doctor's not addressing or can't figure out, maybe it's time to start looking at the fact that those could be pieces of insulin resistance. Now, is everything linked to insulin resistance? Absolutely not. But is most of our chronic illness and disease today linked to insulin resistance that's lifestyle related? Absolutely it is. So we just want to know, and I'm a big knowledge person, so I want people to know what's happening in their bodies and why it's happening, and so you guys can put the pieces together. Before I dive into insulin resistance, I had some, in my morning meditations this morning, I was thinking a lot about some different things, and one of the things I thought about was, why is it when we come on, and I do it too, when we come on, if somebody says one thing we don't like, we just kind of discard them, discredit them. And still, we'll have parents that we disagree with something on, and we still love them, and we still honor them, and we still respect them. We have friends, we have partners, we have, um, you know, coworkers, we have leaders at church, at whatever, that we don't necessarily agree with everything they think, feel, or do, and yet we're not discrediting the whole of them because of that one thing. So, what I'm going to invite you guys to do this morning is take what you need. Take what you need, and if there's something that you just don't resonate with or don't uh, don't agree with, that's fine. Then, find what you do, but take the pieces that do mean something to you. Take the pieces that do fit for you and utilize them, because in the end, this is about your health and not about anything else. So, insulin resistance, this one thing that I talk about all the time, is born of the food that we eat. And like, I'm on the journey with you guys. I want to be clear about that. I am on this journey too. I'm just learning and bringing stuff to you guys as I go. And it feels like every day, every week, I'm learning some new stuff that just blows my mind. But insulin resistance is really affecting most of our health. It can link into things like PCOS and erectile dysfunction. hypertension. Those are some of the top ones that I talk about, or dyslipidemia, chronic and unnormal levels of lipids or cholesterol in your system. Those are all highly linked to insulin resistance. So if you're suffering with a blood pressure that's 130 over 80 or higher, then you're likely insulin resistant. If you're a lady and your testosterone levels are too high, your estrogen levels are too low, you're having facial hair, you're having hair that's receding on your head, you're having difficult periods, and you can't get pregnant, if you address your insulin resistance, much of that will likely go away. Same thing for guys. If your testosterone is low, because it looks different, because men have testes, women have ovaries. If your testosterone is low and you're starting to get the man boobs and you're having erectile dysfunction and you're just having less sexual desire and all of that, and less muscle tone and less hair on your body, you're likely insulin resistant. Would you guys, it's hormones. Most of our, and unless it's viral bacterial stuff, right? It's mostly hormones that's causing a majority of our issues. Well, one of the primary hormones, or I like to think the primary hormone in our body that takes precedence over our body dealing with anything else, is insulin. So if our insulin is out of whack, you can bet that everything else on down the line, all the other hormones, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol, leptin, ghrelin, all the stuff, your thyroid hormones, all of those get out of whack when insulin is out of whack. So again, does it cure everything? No. But do you give yourself the best chance of having a better go at your health if you're addressing the insulin? I like to see it like this. If we clear out the insulin problem, and I'm going to get to what the insulin problem is, but if you've resonated with any of those things, and I'm going to give you a couple more, if we address that, then we have an easier time seeing if there's anything else going on in the body. That's what's happening with me. We've addressed my insulin resistance. Now we know that there's some other things going on in my body, and we're addressing those. So now it's easier to address the things that are underlying, because all the random stuff is cleared out. Like, I don't have the joint pain. I don't have the consistent obsessive ear ringing. I don't have the bleeding gums. I don't have hair falling out. I don't have dark skin patches. I don't have skin tags. I don't have all of this stuff going on. I don't have, hey, Dr. Khalud, I don't have, come on, the brain fog. You wouldn't tell that right now, right? But I don't have a number of those things. So I know, and I keep an eye on that through, blood sugar every morning, my blood pressure every morning, my ketones. I keep an eye on it, because I've realized that the best advocate for us is us. So yes, I agree with working with your doctor. I'm not taking that off the table. And I am not a physician, but I'm telling you that as a human race, when we start to give up our ability to think for ourselves and be self-aware, understand what's going on in our own body, how is a doctor supposed to address what's going on in your body if you don't even understand what the difference in your body is and what's happening, and you can't go and articulate to them the changes that are happening or what you feel and when it feels? Like, you got to give them a chance too, right? You can't just call a mechanic over the phone and say, hey, my car's not running right. Oh no, I don't know. I haven't noticed any weird sounds. No, I don't remember when the last time I put oil in it. No, I don't know what, you can't call a mechanic and expect them to fix your car when you don't know what's going on a little bit about the car. That's the same with our bodies. We have to understand us and what's happening in our bodies more than we do now. And I'm going to invite everyone to understand that we're all given this thing called a brain. And so if somebody, including yourself, is reasoning through things, just because they don't have a PhD in front of their name or behind their name doesn't mean that they're discredited, okay? Do some critical thinking and self-advocate. All right, so insulin resistance, besides the high blood pressure, PCOS, erectile dysfunction, I did mention skin tags and skin discoloration. Those are high cues of insulin resistance as well. But headaches, consistent headaches, body aches and pains that you can't explain, joint failures, gut issues, IBS, Crohn's, all of that are linked to insulin resistance. So if you're having symptoms that you just can't explain, including things like neuropathy, because insulin resistance does mess with the neural pathways and the nerve pathways, neural and nerve, but it messes with those pathways and causes some dysfunction in those both of those pathways. So let's dive in. Insulin resistance really is happening to us and causing us. Oh, the other thing is obesity. You guys, if you're putting on weight, you have too much insulin in your bloodstream. If you're putting on excess weight, right? Normal weight is, there's no issue with that. You need some insulin in your body, but if you're putting on excess weight, the excess weight does not cause the insulin resistance. The excess weight is a symptom that you have too much insulin in your body already, which is a symptom that you have too much glucose getting to your bloodstream too quickly, too often. So one of the things I talk about is that we shouldn't snack all the time. The snack industry, the food industry has taught us to snack, and the whole eat every 2 hours thing came from the food industry. It didn't come from scientists in metabolism. They're not the ones who said you need to eat every 2 hours to bump up your metabolism. That's the snack industry. I'll dig in and find. I've heard many doctors talk about it, Melba. I'll find some proof of that somehow. I'll try and find that. But a lot of doctors talk about that we're being led down this path of snacking because the food industry is creating stuff that they want to sell to you, and so they tell us to eat every 2 hours, but it's causing this other problem. And when you look at, I hate to sound conspiracy theorist, but this is going to sound a little bit that way. Okay, so when you look at big food and big pharma, the families and the people that own both they're very linked, if not the same. So if you're getting sick from eating food and then you're being driven to big pharma to make you feel better for something that they shouldn't be addressing with medicine, it kind of makes sense, that model, on their side, but not on our side. Okay, so if we're dealing with a foodborne disorder, eating too much, eating food which is our environment now, that turns to glucose too quickly, we need to address it by addressing that root cause, not by medications and whatnot. I was listening to Dr. Bickman this morning talk about medications, which I'm going to spend my day listening to him talk a little bit more about it. But some of the medications, it's crazy the things that they're doing to our body. Some of them are forcing us to produce more insulin to try and deal with the problem, which our pancreas is already overloaded. So now we're going to overload our pancreas some more. So when we have insulin resistance, I'm random this morning, every morning. Yeah, Lulu, let's talk about that real quick. Thank you for asking. So what you need to do, I'm going to give you 6 simple tips. Let me see. And then you guys write them down or go to my profile on Facebook. I will type that in for you. On TikTok, just go to my profile. You'll get to my link tree and there's an ebook there. So these 6 simple tips are in that ebook. Let's go over that, how to start. This is step 1. If you want to do it this way and you can do it that way, fine. Fiber first, and I've heard many doctors. I was listening to a menopause doctor this morning too. She was talking about this very thing as well. So fiber first. We are not getting in enough fiber, and we're not getting in enough of the right kinds of fiber. So fiber first. Now, Lulu, because I have a crazy lifestyle like most of us, and I can't guarantee that I'm going to get all the right kinds of fiber, nor do I have the brain space to sit down and decipher which fibers I need to eat before I have whatever I'm going to eat. I supplement, okay, with a specific fiber that is addressing all of this. So fiber first. Then you want to prioritize protein. Most of us are not getting in enough protein, and even in menopause, we need protein. So I'm not talking about 120 grams a day, but a lot of people I deal with are only getting in 20 to 30 grams of protein a day, wondering why they're feeling sick and they just don't have any energy and whatnot. Fiber first, prioritize protein, fill with healthy fats, and then you want to limit your carbs, okay, and then do some time-based eating. Then you want to move your body. So let's go over each one of those because I tend to get off track. So I'm going to go over them again and then we'll go over them in detail. Fiber first, prioritize protein, fill with healthy fats, and I'm going to tell you what those are. Limit your carbs, do some time-based eating, and move your body. So it's easy as we get older and we get more pain and we get, to not move our body as much. It's easy in today's world for us to be sitting behind a computer all day, not move our body as much, be in traffic for an hour each way every day. We're just not moving. We need to move, whether it's getting up and taking a walk, dance in your kitchen. I don't care. Do some gentle movement. I choose to do qigong right now and take walks in nature. I'm going to start lifting weights again, but move your body. Okay, so the fiber first. Lulu, the fiber I'm using is part of the protocol that I use, which is a tea in the morning. I'm using the tea on my extended fast right now. That's what's in this cup. And so I drink that every morning. And then this specific blend of fibers that has 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers specifically to made to address sugar levels and fat levels. It slows them down from delivering into your system. And that's fiber's job. You guys, whether you're eating raw foods or whether you're supplementing like I do, fiber's job that has I'm gonna correct myself right now. Fiber has many jobs and every fiber has a different job. So it's really important. You can't just go get psyllium husk and be like, that's it, I'm good. Um, every fiber has a different action in your body. That's why when some people say eat the rainbow, part of it is that you're getting in different nutrients from each one, you're getting in different fibers. So it really takes a diverse range of fibers to do this job. That's why I supplement, because I just have, I mean, we all have our limits, right? I don't have the time and effort like I used to think I was. When I was living in North Idaho and wanted to grow my own farm and do all the stuff and bake my own bread and pitted cherries for homemade cherry pies. Look, it's a different world. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to supplement my fiber because it's been stripped out of the foods we eat. Protein. Again, I think we should try to get in about 30 grams per meal for most of us. If you're a very small person, maybe not so much, but that's kind of like the minimal. And then the more active you are, Lori, why don't I? That's a good question, Lori. What I would love to do is I can, on my recommendations page today, I'll make a note and today I'll sit down and get some of the Qigong moves that I do. Now, one of the Qigong things that I do, I try to do it every morning, but I'm going to be real and say I only do it about 5 days a week, is a specific type of 5 elements that I learned from Max Reader. So look up Max Reader. By the way, he has some great courses on movement and healing the body and whatnot. Love that man. But the Qigong that I do in the morning, I do in a static pose, and it has the 5 elements. I also do one called the Tree of Life that you do in numbers. Like because of my left hip was removed. I actually died on the operating table and they kind of slammed me back together to get me together so they could save my life. So that leg has never been able to do leg raises and stuff. It's very painful. So I only do 3s, but you can do them in 5s or 7s or whatever. But the Tree of Life one is an amazing process that I like to do. If I can't find a video on it, maybe I'll get Rave and try to do one. And then there's a whole body one that's just a very cool sweeping movement that you do, and you're supposed to do it about 200 times a day. I think I'm only up to like 100. And although it looks like a very simple movement, unless you're extremely fit, you're gonna feel it after about 50. So I will find some of those videos and get them together for you if I can find them all and put them on the recommendations page, because those are all things you can do right in your living room. They don't take a whole lot of time, but they're involving your whole body and getting you and the energy in your body moving, which I don't talk about it a lot. Some people have deduced that, but I am a big person on energetics and the whole body energy anyway. I'm not as fervent as Maxwell Reader. He's an amazing man, but I do try to pay attention to those things. So I'll get those put together for you. Let me write that down or I will forget. Let me write that down. So I'm going to say too, the one thing that I am lacking, and I want to invite you guys to understand, take a look at your own life and understand if this is happening with you too. In this digital age, we all tend to scroll. We all tend to watch TV too much. Brian Johnson. Now I haven't made up my mind. He's said a lot of good things. He spends about $2 million a year to reverse age. And I agree with most of the stuff he does, but holy crap, most of us couldn't do that. One of the things he talks about is our sleep patterns. if we're serious about our health, we have to take care of our sleep patterns, and it's the one thing that I keep pushing off. So again, last night I didn't get to bed until about midnight because my mind goes down these paths. I start learning something, I want to learn the next thing, I want to, scrolling is horrible. I'm going to invite everybody to start really paying attention to your sleep health, because when your sleep health is off, it's causing a dysregulation of cortisol levels. That cortisol level that's dysregulated causes an excess of the insulin and exacerbates the insulin resistance in your body as well. So, getting rest is really key to being insulin sensitive. It's not in my 6 simple tips, but I gotta, like, holy crikey, I can maybe do a whole list one day, but I feel like 6 is probably good for people to start with. So get some good sleep. I did not get enough sleep last night, so I disrupted my morning routine to try and get a little extra rest, but I need to make sure that I'm getting to bed at a regular time and getting enough sleep because it has such an impact on your health. You guys, we want to run and we want to be overexerted in this life, and we want to do so much all the time, and there's just the difference now between us now and like 40, 50 years ago is that we have so much information coming at us. For somebody like me who has a real learner personality, that gets to be overwhelming. As much as I love it, it gets to be overwhelming. And there's just this constant, like, we have this digital age of, instead of just being handed a book and I'm going to read this book and I'm going to go to bed, we have all of this digital stuff and we stay awake. Like, just like little crazed people staying awake scrolling, whether we're just doing mindless stuff or whether we're learning or whatever. So put the electronics down, step away from them, get some good rest. Give yourself a break from the blue light, and the EMR, the 5G stuff. So I don't get into a lot of that, but I do like address it for myself. So there's that. Now I'm going to go back to the 6 simple steps. Lulu, um, I didn't type in let me get that link for you for how to find the system. There it is. So over on Facebook and YouTube, this is where you're going to go if you don't go to one of my profiles. So there you go. All right, so we started with fiber first, right? Now we're talking about protein before I got off on sleep and all that. But protein is extremely important. You don't have to have the 120 grams or whatever that I used to have or more when I was powerlifting, but try to get in at least 60. So that means protein at every meal. And when we're not getting enough protein, our muscles, our body needs it. It gives us energy, not just building blocks. Protein turns into glucose about half as much, or spikes your insulin about half as much as carbohydrates do. And yet, out of the 3 macros, which are fats, protein, and carbohydrates, out of those 3 macros, big nutrients in our system, proteins satiate us the most. Okay, so they keep us full longer, they make us feel full quicker, and they do a lot of other good things in our body. They are giving us energy. That's why people are surviving on the carnivore diet. Okay, I would not go that extreme, but that's not for me. Misha's always on a tangent, Jason, you know that. But you know what? It's because I feel so good. What is today? I'm midway into day 4 of my fast, and I actually feel really good. You guys, it's so much easier than you think. Is it easy? Easy? No, but it's good for your body. All right, now you got me on another tangent because I said tangent, so now I'm on a tangent. All right, proteins. Welcome to my life, people. Then I talked about fats. By the way, there is on my profile, on my link tree, also there's that 6 simple steps ebook. You'll get a list of proteins along with that, and you'll get a tracker to be able to say, did I address proteins? Did I address fiber? I find for me that if I use a tracker, I'm more cognizant of what I'm doing. I'm more conscious with my actions, and I can better tell when I've missed something and I need to adjust, right? So you get a tracker, you get this list of proteins, and you also get the list of the fats I'm going to talk about. So fats, when I say fill with fats, you guys, I am not talking canola oil. Get that crap out of your cupboards. Vegetable oil, seed oils, none of it. Okay. Black seed oil, if it's cold pressed, but that's not cooking, right? So for cooking and eating, you need butter, ghee, coconut oil, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, and then leave the fats on your meats. There's a misnomer that the fats that we eat, when we're talking about saturated fats, dietary saturated fats, those are not causing the cholesterol problem. The excess sugars and fructose, through actions that happen in the body and specifically in the liver, create the damaging cholesterol that's causing us to have problems. So it's actually this sugar issue or glucose issue that's causing the cholesterol problem through several actions in the body and the way LDL converts. I've done videos on that, so I'm not going to spend time unless somebody wants the overview of that. But get in healthy fats. They're not contributing to your cholesterol, so stop this low fat stuff. Also, fats are the second most satiating food, but they don't spike your insulin. They spike your insulin very, very minimally, but so low that scientists will say, for all intents and purposes, they're not spiking your insulin. So proteins fill you up the quickest, give you building blocks, and spike your insulin half as much as carbohydrates, right? So fill with them first. Fats don't really spike your insulin. They're less satiating than protein, but they do fill you up, and they have a number of other factors in the body. I need to do a whole video on why saturated fats are good for you. And then carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are going to both spike your insulin the highest and the quickest, and they're going to leave you feeling hungry the soonest. So unless you're eating high fiber carbohydrates, don't be fooled by Kellogg's cereal or Raisin Bran saying they're giving you high fiber. They're giving you more carbohydrates than you need to get that fiber, and they're coated in sugar and filled with all kinds of things you don't need. To me, I used to have Raisin Bran as dessert. I love the stuff. In fact, now I'm hungry for it because I'm hungry for everything on this fast. But I don't have cereal in my house. I encourage my grandchildren not to have cereal. I encourage my children not to give cereal to my grandchildren because it spikes your insulin so high. And the little bit of it's higher in fiber, it's higher in iron. You guys, there's only a small percentage that cereal has to be higher than the next for them to be able to put that on there. It doesn't mean that it's high enough to really be healthy for you. So I know I'm one of those. I haven't for a while because I usually eat more raw organic foods or not. I buy like chicken. I do my own cooking. I don't buy a whole lot of box stuff. But when I do pick stuff up and look at the labels, I'm surprised at what I see on the labels. And when I don't do labels for a while because I just like don't want to pay attention, and then I go back to it, I'm just shocked at what's in the foods. So. Um, Fiber, protein, fats, limit your carbs. Now, time-based eating. I want to address that. There's a couple of things. I regularly do a 16-8 fast. I'm doing an extended fast. I got a message on one of my videos. A lady said, I fast a lot and I've lost my period and I don't feel well. Well, yeah. When you're doing extended fasts continuously, it's not healthy for you. Then you do start to go into starvation mode. The purpose of a fast is not to make you be in starvation mode, it's to help your body clean up. So I've done some longer term fasts. Will I probably do a longer than 5-day fast? Probably. Again, right now I'm going to do a couple of 5-day fasts about once a month. So I'm not going to do them on the first of the month this year because I have too many things going on the first of the month. But January 1, we're going to start doing 5-day fasts. And if you want a group to join a group and support each other and talk about what's going on, I would love to do that. But a 5-day fast is actually helping your digestive system reset. It's helping you build intestinal stem cells. So all of this stuff of IBS and Crohn's and all of these things can start to heal up in your gut. It helps you get rid of inflammation and inflammatory proteins and whatnot from your body. So now you have less wrinkling, you have better skin health, you have better internal health, you have better heart health, you have better liver, kidney health, you have better brain health. Okay, so there's a number of things that happen when you fast. There's a couple of things like GABA, which is it helps GABA helps you feel calm by dulling some of the receptors that are creating like anxiety and depression, but you also have an uptake of so you have an uptake of GABA, you have an uptake of dopamine. So now dopamine is giving you that I always say ooh ah feeling, that it's a pleasurable feeling. So now on about day 3 of your fast, you're starting to have this I'm more calm, but I feel more pleasurable about everything in life. Everything doesn't feel so painful emotionally. And your thoughts are starting to clear. You may have some mental lethargy if you're not. That's why I drink the tea and I make sure that I get in my normal supplements. I don't just do a water only fast. But you will start to notice some of these changes in your body. Those neural pathways that are being affected by too much sugar in your system, where they're sending neurons outside of the pathway that it's supposed to be, and it's causing all kinds of issues, that starts to clean up. So now you have better brain function. And I want you to think about something. GABA is it's a substance in the brain that's produced to help you reduce um, things like anxiety, depression. It reduces receptors of those things that are causing anxiety, depression. Dopamine increases pleasurable feelings. So GABA calming, um, dopamine more pleasurable. That's a basic. And I don't have the full answer because you guys, I am not a scientist, but I will be more than happy to do a video on GABA because it's not one that I'm extremely familiar with, but I know that it does create more feelings of calmness and it introduces into your system in higher amounts between days 2 and 3 of the fast. So you're also going to start to notice some elimination. Even though I say your digestive system is getting a reset, GABA is amazing, especially if you have anxiety, depression, right? But we're just, when in the presence of insulin resistance, that is dampened. The production of both dopamine and GABA are dampened with insulin resistance. So now we're feeling more anxious and depressed, and everything just feels more painful. I used to say it felt like, mentally, it felt like I was walking through quicksand or mud every day, physically and mentally. It was just when I was highly insulin resistant, I just felt, ugh, like it just is not happening. I've Melba bipolar. I've read now. I don't get into the neuropsychiatric things so much, but I know that there it has been. I've seen some stuff in passing on links between insulin resistance and bipolar. I can't cite all of that to you because I don't know. It's not something I've dove into, but I do know that by getting the brain healthier, a lot of these things start to get better. Now, again, I'm not a psychologist or a neuroscientist, so I can't really do that. But I am going to say again that addressing insulin resistance, if it's causing all of this malfunction of dopamine, GABA, and other things in the brain, including neural links, then it's probably worth addressing that to see if it can affect your bipolar. Okay. So, yeah, I used to take GABA, which, like I've researched so many things. You guys, I'm going to tangent time, Jason, tangent time. I want to say something. I used to do subconscious reprogramming for people. I used to do some coaching to help people through trauma. One of the things that I learned about the brain, this doesn't, it has to do with insulin resistance, doesn't have to do with it, but you guys, we have an active memory and we have a stored memory. So we all have stuff that we've learned, and then all of a sudden it feels like, wow, I knew that. If you're not using it, it's not that you lose it, but it gets stored away. And if you think of a house, like a mansion with 100 doors in it, you have to know to open the right door to access the right room. But if you're using it all the time, it's going to be to the forefront, right? So some of these things I know are in there, and when I read something, I'll be like, oh, yeah. But it's not always in the forefront because right now I'm dealing so much with insulin resistance and a number of these issues that I feel like are so important for people's health. So understand, I do want you to understand that when you learn something, guys, it's not that it goes away. You just have found something else that your mind is using more in the moment than what you had learned 10 years ago. Okay. So, and it sometimes, that's why sometimes people will ask you a question and be like, oh, I know this answer. I know this answer. And you can't think of it in the moment, but maybe 2 hours later, maybe 6 hours later, maybe in your dream time, the answer comes to you because it's in there. It just has to be unlocked. Okay. So, insulin resistance has everything to do with brain health, though, you guys. It really does. If you're struggling, understand that getting insulin resistance under control, again, is going to clear the room, clear your head so that you can see what's really going on. A lot of anxiety and depression is not because you're too hard on yourself. I believe that all of us are too hard on ourselves, but it has to do with actual physiological reactions in the brain. Something I haven't talked about with chlorogenic acids, which is present in the tea. And I'll be talking more about the direct components of these at 3 this afternoon. But chlorogenic acids are one of the few components that can cross the blood-brain barrier. That's why this tea is so effective for mental health issues, because it's very high in chlorogenic acids. It's 3 to 10 times higher than coffee. It's 375 times higher than a normal bagged yerba mate, but that component that gets through to your brain makes a lot of these healthy changes in the brain and impacts it in a very positive way, because not everything that we take in crosses that barrier. So that's important to know. And that's part of the reason, you guys, another thing, if you want to increase your intake of chlorogenic acids. This is a great way. Another thing that I like to do, because I love chlorogenic acids and the good feelings and the mental clarity I get, I've been on this thing ever since I learned it. Pears. When we talk about carbohydrates, pears have really high fiber. They're some of the lower on the glycemic scale of your fruits, and they're extremely high in chlorogenic acids. So I used to just be a berries girl for my fruits because of the fiber and the less sugar and the lower glycemic scale. But now pears may have taken a first spot in my diet. I still get berries in. Like, I went and got some groceries in uh, in preparation for breaking this fast, and I will do a video on how to break your fast. But included in that grocery shopping were some pears and some berries, because I just feel like they're so healthy for you. So now I'm really off on a tangent. We were talking intermittent fasting before I got off on this tangent, didn't I? You guys, I love when you ask questions, because I love not being a robot when I hop on here and talk. But intermittent fasting, and I'm going to do some videos on this too, because I'm studying more and I'm interested. You guys, I like to play with things, but as far as trying new things out, trying to do things in a different way. Something I learned when I was powerlifting is, if I had the same workout routine and I did that same workout routine every day, the muscles stop responding to it. You have to kind of like shock your body into, oh, this is new and this is different. So there are some fasting routines. I've been doing the 16/8 fast for about 2 years now. So there are some other ways to fast where you can still include that 16/8, give your body that little bit of a shock difference, like maybe doing an OMAD once a week, something like that. You can switch it up. I'm really shocked that I had a person who was talking to me. They messaged me and they said, hey, my friend said I should be doing some intermittent fasting, because everybody that purchases from me gets a video and I talk about how to do the protocol, and I talk about a little bit about intermittent fasting. It's only about a 3.5 minute video, but I cover all of that. So intermittent fasting is not abnormal. It's not unhealthy. It's how we used to always eat as human beings, unless you were part of the elite, where you had just these tables full of food and people creating food for you, kitchens full of cooks and whatnot. But the rest of us, we're probably only eating 2 meals a day and not having snacks. Genetically, we're geared to do that. It's not horrible for us. It's not causing damage to your body. What is happening is we go from in a fed state every time we eat, and food turns into energy and insulin has to come out to deliver. Insulin is a hormone that's delivering the energy to the cells of your body. So every time you eat, insulin is going out. And when we're snacking, we're training insulin to come up, insulin to come up, insulin to come up. Now, when we've repeatedly done that, the body says, okay, this is what we do now. So now we're going to keep producing insulin at high amounts, and we're going to keep the insulin up even though they haven't eaten. So your insulin levels are always high, and the higher the insulin level is, the longer it takes for it to come back down. And why is that important? Because to be metabolically flexible, I want you guys to think about balance, right? So yin, yang, everything, light, dark. If we had sunshine all day, every day, and I know there are areas of the world that kind of live through this, but if we had sunshine every day, all our lives, we wouldn't rest well. Like I'm talking about, don't put blackout curtains on your room because we're talking about having light in our life all the time, right? That would get to be devastating for us and our bodies, but our bodies would adapt. It wouldn't be the most healthy way. So we always have to have balance. We have nighttime and we have daytime because there's a balance. And in our hormones, there's always a balance in our hormones. Our body has that built in. So the balance to insulin is this hormone called glucagon. Why there's that in the system is because insulin is anabolic hormone. Anabolic just means that it wants things to grow. So when you hear this anabolic on supplements and everything, what they're saying is it's something that is intended to make you grow, right? So when you think of bodybuilders and whatnot, and they have all these anabolic steroids, anabolic this, anabolic that, it's intending to grow. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. Anabolic is not bad. It's just used in the wrong ways. But when insulin is a primary hormone and it wants things to grow, if you're eating all the time, it's continually trying to deliver this energy to your cells. You're getting sick because your cells are getting resistant to it. So we need to slow the insulin down because over here is glucagon, the component hormone to insulin, and it never gets to come out and do its job while insulin is in your system. Okay, so we got to get insulin to kind of go to bed. So the sun goes down, the moon comes up. Okay, now when glucagon is up, now you have an increase in human growth hormone. You have an increase in ketones, these little, uh, we'll call them messengers that go out to the body and tell you, burn that fat. And really, glucagon can't help this process when insulin is out because insulin's going to be over here like, wait a minute, I just worked really hard to store all of this energy, and you, little thing called glucagon, are not going to destroy everything I did. Yeah, weather plays a part in your balance for sure, and it plays a part in so much in your body. So barometric changes and whatnot. Melba over on YouTube Facebook is asking that barometric changes and changes in weather actually do play a part in all of this. I'm not an expert on that part, but I can tell you that they do. Okay, so back to the insulin glucagon. When glucagon finally comes out, now you're able to burn fat for fuel. Insulin breaks fat breakdown, it breaks fat burning, or it blocks fat burning, but it increases fat storage, encourages fat storage. Glucagon increases fat burning and breaks down the fat that is stored. So if you're having excess body weight and you want to lose weight, you've got to get the insulin down. So if you're eating every 2 hours, because one person, lovely lady, but she says, I want you to eat before you're hungry. It's really important to eat before you're hungry. No, you're training your body to eat all the time, and your body's going to lose sense of, it's going to start to dampen your leptin and ghrelin. It's going to start to lose sense of when you're hungry and when you're not. It's just going to always cue you to be hungry even when you're not. So stop it. No more snacking, no more eating every 2 hours. It may work in the short term because of some calorie restriction and some increased intake of or uptake of exercise, but in the long run, people start to gain weight because of all of these long-term results of messing with the hormones in that way. Okay, so glucagon is now out. You're burning fat. You have increased HGH. You have actually when you have this glucagon out and insulin is down, that's when part of this dopamine uptake and GABA increase and all of that is happening as well. So it's really important to utilize insulin throughout part of the day, to deliver the energy we eat. And food is energy. Okay. Art is pleasurable. Food is energy. Although we've kind of taken our food and we all don't look at it as if it's energy and it's fueling our body. We just are like, ooh, this tastes good. I want that good feeling. So I'm going to go eat that good thing. And I'm guilty of it too. But we've got to stop it and understand that at the basis, food is energy in our body. So we want to pay attention to getting energy in at the right times. So for me, that's within about an 8-hour period. Normally, it's really about a 6-hour period. And then you want to give that a rest because it takes 4 to 6 hours for the blood sugars to go down after you've eaten. So it takes a couple hours after those blood sugars go down for your insulin to go, oh, they haven't eaten in 4 to 6 hours. The blood sugars are going down. Maybe I can take a rest. I don't have to be the bully on the playground anymore. I don't have to be out here standing guard, guarding my energy anymore. We're just going to take a rest. And then as soon as insulin goes to sleep, glucagon comes up and starts doing its job. Now you're burning fat, you have more energy. Um, so intermittent fasting is actually really healthy for us. And it drives me crazy when people say, when you do intermittent fasting, you're going to get hangry and you're going to get sluggish. You're getting hangry because you've trained your body to live off of high glycemic or highly sugared foods, things that convert into glucose too quickly. That's why you get hangry. When you start to switch and start to do the process or the protocol that I talked about, fiber first, prioritize protein, filled with healthy fats, you don't get hangry because you're not having those blood sugar spikes and dips. Okay. So there's that. Now, when we also look back in time, when we were hunter gatherers, and this comes from doctors like Lee, doctors like Yao, I think Dr. Fung even talks about it. When we were hunter gatherers and we would go through these feast or famine times, right? We would have summer times when we would feast up and everybody would get kind of like a little bit plump because they were trying to make it through the winter time. But also what's happening is when you're fasting a little bit, now your brain is not getting dampened. It's actually activating more because genetically we're geared to look for our next meal. Hunter gatherer, we got to be on the lookout. So if we were having this brain fog, mental fog when we were in a fasted state as a human race, we would have never made it. We had to be more on point and more clear in our thinking when we were in absence of food. So I actually was listening to, my life is filled with listening to so many experts, but I was listening to an athlete who talked about the fact that he works out fasted. Um, I used to work out fasted in preparation for world championships, and I know I felt better. I know that my workouts were, I felt like I gained more from them when I worked out fasted. And I'm not talking like a 5-day fast. I'm talking like, okay, I work out in the morning because I didn't eat for 12 hours. Okay, that's in a fasting state. But my body did better. Now, the other thing that happens is when you work out in a fasted state and your muscles are open and they're ready for energy and you do have something afterward, the energy is going to go into the muscle building instead of into fat building. There was for a while a thing called carb backloading, where when you did like the big when it was like a deadlift day or a squat day where it was this big intense workout, you were allowed to have more carbs within the 2 hours afterward because your muscles are so wide open they will take it up. And I played with that for a while, and guys, I was shocked because I am so resistant to losing weight that I was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. But a trainer was like, try it. And I did. And I think I had like even like a milkshake or something because I was kind of pushing the boundaries. I'm like, oh my God, you just did the most horrible thing. You're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to have excess weight. Nope. I woke up in the morning, weight going down because I fasted. I worked out heavy, like really heavy. And then I fed the muscles after, and then I shut it off. 2 hours after the workout, was not taking in that stuff anymore. Now those receptors are shutting down, but the energy primarily went to the muscle. Great stuff. Okay, so fasting is not bad for you guys. It's not bad. Now, there are some instances, if you're pregnant, if you're extremely lean, you probably shouldn't be fasting. There's a reason why, like bodybuilders who get really lean stop having periods. They can't have kids because the body in that state says this person is starving. They're not a good candidate to have a child. It's not a good environment to grow a child. So those things do happen when you get too lean. So if you're consistently fasting long periods, it's going to start to shut down processes in the body, just like when you're having too much insulin. A 5-day fast once a month and then eating a 16-8 program is not going to do that. And it's actually really healthy in menopause. We should be titrating down the amount we eat anyway. And I'm not talking calories. In my 2 meals a day, I still get 1,700 to 2,000 calories a day, and I feel great. So it's not about dropping down to 500 or 1,200 calories. That's not the thing. And the whole thing of fasting, extended fasting, is not about calorie control. It's about the other processes in the body. It's about letting the gut regenerate. It's about helping to heal from those years of IBS and, for some people, Crohn's and like gastroparesis. You guys, I have heard so many people talk about, can I do the system? I have gastroparesis. It looks a little different because your intestinal system doesn't work as well. So I would start with a very small amount of the fiber and then work your way up and do all the other things. But gastroparesis is highly linked to diabetes type 2. Diabetes type 2 is end stage insulin resistance, which is resultant of too much insulin in the body, which is resultant of getting foods in that turn into glucose too quickly in the body. And now we have a problem, Houston. We have a problem. So, all right, guys, I've been rambling on. I will be talking more about liver. I do want to talk a little bit about non-alcoholic fatty liver. Um, what was the statistic I heard this morning? Because I really wanted to remember it to impart to you guys. But I don't remember the statistics, so I'm not going to say it. But non-alcoholic fatty liver is greatly increased for us in this age. That's highly to do with the amount of fructose we're eating. So when we're eating high fructose foods, we are more likely to have non-alcoholic fatty liver. Non-alcoholic fatty liver means we're going to have cholesterol problems, and it means a number of other things going on for us. Now, I talk about some of the biggest, like the biggest organs, right? Like your integumentary system is your biggest organ, that it's protecting your body, the skin. But internally, your biggest organ is your intestines. But the organ that probably does the most varied jobs for us and affects the most things outside of those two things is the liver. And our liver is taking a beating because we're drinking fruit juice. Fruit juice is devoid of fibers, and the sugar, the fructose. How many of you guys have thought that, oh, I'm having fructose? It's a more natural sugar. That's good for me if it has fructose in it. Well, there's a reason high fructose corn syrup has been deemed so bad. Fructose has to be processed through the liver, the same place that processes the alcohol that causes that fatty liver and all of the problems. And it can be devastating because when you have fatty liver, that fructose, high amounts of fruit juice, oh, that was it. That was it. I'm going to finish this about the liver, but the liver can start to get scarred and have damage, and then you get cirrhosis, and then you may have to have liver transplant later on down the road if you're not taking care of it, because if you don't, your liver is so scarred up and not working that you won't survive with it. Take care of your liver and stop with all the fruit juice. Understand how damaging that is to your body. So what it was if you are eating high fructose, there was a study that if people did high fructose foods for a week, regularly ingesting high fructose foods for a week, they were already starting to develop non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and there was a percentage of increase of that instance in their system. So one of the best ways to protect your liver is to protect it from all that fructose. Eating fruit like pears with lots of fiber, berries with lots of fiber is okay. But drinking all the fruit juice and by the way, I've been talking more about this lately. Smoothies, I know everybody loves smoothies, but you're already pre-breaking down the fiber, and now it can't do its full job. So use smoothies sparingly. But anyway, so there's that. I'll be back at 3. We'll talk some more about things to do with the gut and any questions you guys have at 3 p.m. On all these platforms. And we'll see you there. And have a great day. Get your questions ready because I like to answer them. Have a good one.